So what are we currently learning from the AM industry's response to the pandemic based on your experiences? So any one of you jump in.
Sure, I can speak to that. As the pandemic, hit us, I think it really caught the industry by surprise, really, about the supply chain, really, and the challenges associated with it. It's just was really a big opportunity for 3D printing to be able to jump in. And when I look back at it, I think that we've been talking about all of the benefits of 3D printing, right, for years, and the pandemic was really a place where we were able to step in and prove all the things that we've been saying about design, iteration, the speed, the cost, the effectiveness. I think all of those were a real benefit to the additive industry to be able to show how it could step into some a situation like that.
Yeah, I think one of the things to build on that is that we've learned that the impact that 3D printing can have, but not 3D printing alone, but 3D printing coupled with other technologies. And so examples that come to mind are around design sharing. And Fast Radius, we were one of the many companies that developed some designs and shared those broadly in the community around the world so that others could improve on those designs, share them back, make them and learn from them. And I think what America Makes has done with NIH is an example of a design sharing and collaboration platform. And so I think one of the inspiring things here that the pandemic has shown the industry is that, yes, digital manufacturing and 3D printing, the equipment itself unlocks incredible value and the ability to rapidly produce and scale and iterate on the designs. But there's also the upfront work around digital design and collaboration that very quickly allowed exchange of ideas and information to then ultimately let the industry start making these parts. I thought for me that was one lesson, and that reinforces it's not just about the machines, but it's about the full digital thread that has to mature for the industry to really have the impact it can have on the world. And we've all had that thesis, and now it's really has come to life, the value there. And I think that plays out not just upstream in design, but also downstream in the supply chain, and that you can quickly mobilize capacity for production once that design has been locked, and you can tap into a distributed supply chain to scale. And other many examples of that with face shields is a good example where I think HP, you guys shared your design for face shield. Others have picked up on that and iterate on it. Fast Radius did the same. But then many people around the world could scale up embracing it. So I think to your question about the lessons, Terry, I think one of them is it's not just about the equipment, but it's about the digital thread that gets created to leverage the power of digital manufacturing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would just add as a final point, I don't know if we want to jump on another question, but I think it exposed some very interesting things, both good and bad, for the 3D printing technology and industry. I mean, number one, it is extraordinarily nimble, like on the pro side, nimble and responsive. Like we talked about, people could very quickly, even if they were folks in their garage, start printing parts and respond to a pandemic in moments. And then for that matter, as Lou and Mike touched on, get designs distributed and iterated on and in the hands of folks who need them very quickly. I think the second leg of it that it also exposed, though, is that 3D printing, there are a wide scale of what 3D printers can do. If you can't corral them and direct them in the right way, they can be used ineffectively or inefficiently. I think back on some of the designs that folks were printing, they were oxygen permeable, but they were trying to print masks. And so they just had to trash a lot of 3D printed parts because they weren't intended for that application or graded to handle that. And then lastly, I would say 3D printing can't print it all. You think about the face shields as an example. Great, you're printing the band, but you're not printing the shield itself. The economics don't make sense. The limitations around clear printed materials, to some extent from a cost standpoint, shown through. So it kind of, I think, was a great litmus test to let the world know how far 3D printing has come to really provide a solution, particularly in a quick response situation, but then also that there's more ground that 3D printing has to cover from a reliability of material science and a full product standpoint.
If I could add on to that real quickly, Colin, I think it made me think about the speed at which we moved, or our customers moved to be able to develop, say, the face shield, literally 7 days from idea to production. And as a supply chain person, it's really important to be able to make sure that the whole landscape can keep up with the speed at which 3D printing can move. So your idea about, or the comment about the clear face shield, very important that that industry or that source of supply can keep up with the speed at which we're iterating on the 3D frame to be able to bring that together. Getting into production, now you have to be able to place orders. You have to have ERP systems set up. You have to have a way to be able to pay and to buy all the solutions. But if you've moved at lightning speed in 7 days to be able to go into production, you need to be thinking about all those aspects and ways to be able to onboard various solutions, whether suppliers or processes, to be able to be ready when you go to production.
Yeah, I think it ties into something, Mike, we've talked a good bit about for distributed manufacturing, and we're all excited and advocates of that thesis. But it's not just a matter of plugging the machine into the wall, pushing print, and everyone's going to get the same part all around the world. While that's our vision and aspiration long term, there still is a need for a quality system in a factory to ensure the parts that you're making, Cullen, to your point, are meeting the specification, that it's a responsible design and the responsible manufacturing operations that adhering to the quality standards. And I think that's another important lesson here is how do we ensure the reliability and repeatability of production. For things like halo fabrication, the risk is pretty low. If the color's off a little bit or there's a little bit of texture, it's okay, it still can function. As we start getting into more sensitive products, like swabs as an example, and Mike, you guys are doing a lot of work in that space. Fast Radius or also Lenina, that space. These are real medical devices that are being used on people, and they're having a quality system is essential. That is going through a PPAP process and going through the FDA certification, and that's where we think the industry can also have incredible impact. It's very different than the hyper-distributed halo production. It requires another tier of capability in the supply chain. And right now, I think as an industry, there's still a lot to be done there.
I think that's spot on. And the last thing I would comment on, the vision behind 3 Diligence, the reason why we operate as the platform that we do, is we've truly felt to operate at the highest levels of industrial manufacturing, you have to have a quality management system tied out to that distributed chain, which is why, frankly, we have those two products and ShopSite, specifically with an eye to having that quality management bundled into distributed manufacturing. You couldn't be more right on that, Luke.